Hi there, and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. I sound so stupid. I hate this. Let's get into it. So I write down my TBR, my to be read, every month in my journal. Here's this month's spread. I don't know if you can see that at all. It's kind of crappy because I just threw it together just now. But that's what it is. So if you're wondering what I'm looking at, that's what I'm looking at. Yeah, I guess let's just get into it. So usually every month I pick one audiobook to read, one ebook to read. Someone's phone is ringing outside and I can hear it. And then usually 4 to 6 regular books, just kind of depending on the length of what I'm picking and how I'm feeling. The audiobook that I've chosen for this month is a new release. It just came out last month, I think, in March. It's called Hood Feminism: Notes from the Women That a Movement Forgot by Mickey Kendall. I don't know very much about this book. I know that it's about feminism, obviously, and African American women and feminism specifically. I think it just kind of goes over, the ways that African American women have been left out of feminism. It sounds really interesting to me. I think it's a pretty short book, so it shouldn't take me very long. And once again, that's my audiobook, so I'll be listening to that. And then for my ebook, which I also don't have a copy of, obviously, I'm going to read Yellowbird: Oil, Murder, and a Women's Search for Justice in Indian Country by Sierra Crane Murdoch. And I'm reading this book because it's about the Bakken. And if you don't know what the Bakken is, it's the giant oil rig that's in, I believe it's in North Dakota. It might be in South Dakota. One of the Dakotas. Maybe it's in Wyoming. No, I'm pretty sure it's one of the Dakotas. Anyway, and it's a really interesting development just because it's, a city where normally not a lot of people live. There's a lot of Indian reservations up there, and a lot of that land is being destroyed, and there's not really a lot of law up there because they're not used to having so many people. They're used to being a much smaller town. And so I believe that this book is about that, in specific one murder of somebody that worked on the Bakken, and how this lady that the book is about solved it. And it's nonfiction, so I'm really excited to read about that. I always pick up books that are about Native Americans or oil stuff that's happening in North Dakota and South Dakota because I'm from Montana, and I just think that's really interesting, and I want to keep up to date on it and just learn as much about it as I can. So I'll definitely let you know what I think. The next 2 books are going to be, they're my grief reading for the month. That sounds horrible, but at the beginning of last month, my best friend took his own life, and so I've been dealing with that this whole last month. I was planning on starting this channel last month, but then just with all the stuff that was happening and all the emotions I was feeling, it didn't work out. But I've had a ton of people recommending books to me, and some books that I've had on my shelf for a while that I'm now going to be picking up because of this incident. So those books are Hold Still and Signs. Hold Still is by Nina LaCour. I've read We're Okay by Nina LaCour, and that book broke me. I read it and I was thinking oh, this will be a quick YA read. I'll finish it real quick. It won't be that consequential, and it had me sobbing by the end. So I've been eager to pick this one up ever since. I also love the cover art is done by Adam Scarvalho, who I follow on Instagram, and I really, really like his art. Hold Still is basically about this girl whose best friend kills herself and just kind of the way she deals with it afterwards. So I figured now was as good of a time as any to read it. So I'm looking forward to that one. And then the other one was bought for me by my mother when she came to visit when we attended the funeral. It's called Signs: The Secret Language of the Universe. It's by Laura Lynn Jackson. This book is nonfiction. And it's about all the different ways that those that have passed can communicate with us. I don't know if I necessarily believe in that, but I thought it was an interesting premise, and somebody close to my mom that just had somebody pass away found it really helpful, so I'm reading that one as well. Then on the list we have The Girl from the Other Side by, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it, Suil Arun, maybe? This is the third volume. My best friend, the one that just passed away, bought me the first 3 volumes of this manga for Christmas because he said that they reminded him of us, because like that, he was really tall and like spooky looking, and then I'm really short and like kind of innocent looking, so he used to say that that was us, and it's just the most darling, can you see that? The most darling book on the planet. Like, it's so sweet and so touching, and the relationship between the 2 main characters is just so charming and endearing, and they're just like light, easy to read. I can finish this in like the course of an hour, so usually I just like pick a day and just like sit and read one. Then next up I have The Marriage Plot by Jeffrey Eugenides. I picked up this book this month because, as I'm sure you are all aware, we have very trying times right now, very confusing, scary times, and Jeffrey Eugenides is my favorite author, and this is the only book of his that I haven't read, so I was like, you know what, what's more comforting than reading a book by my favorite author? I don't remember if I said the name of this book. It's called The Marriage Plot. I don't know what it's about. I would say it's about a plot of marriage. But like I said, it's by my favorite author, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love it. And the last physical book that I have is The Water Cure by Sophie McIntosh. I've been wanting to read this book for a while. I'm not gonna lie, I originally bought this book just because I liked the cover, which is a big trend with me. I buy a lot of books just because I like their covers, which is bad, I know, and I definitely am one of those people where, like, if I don't like the book's cover, I won't buy the book, which is horrible, but that's just who I am. Anyway, so I picked this one up for the cover originally because I liked the texture with the lines. Supposedly, oh, it was also nominated for the Man Booker Prize, which I didn't know. But it's endorsed by Margaret Atwood, so I'm sure it's good. I believe it's about a family that's a little bit like a cult. It's their sisters, and their dad or their leader leaves suddenly, and they're left alone on, I believe, an island until a couple men show up. And I think it's just about how they deal with that and kind of what the men are doing there and how they adjust. I think it's going to be a little spooky. I think it's going to be a little dark. And I'm pretty excited for it overall. So there's one more book that I don't have in my possession yet that's definitely on my TBR for next month. It's coming in the mail right now. It was just released today, and for some reason, even though I pre-ordered it, Amazon claims that it's not getting here until April 14th, so fuck you, Amazon. But I get it. They're busy right now. I get it. Anyway, it's called The Upside of Being Down by Jen Gotch. Jen Gotch is the founder of a company called Bando, which if you haven't checked out Bando, I would highly recommend it. Not sponsored, but I love them. Jen Gotch finally wrote a book called The Upside of Being Down, which is about her struggles with mental health. She has bipolar disorder, so I obviously am really interested in that since I have bipolar disorder, and she's just a really, like, positive, uplifting person, so I think her memoir is gonna be amazing. I am always a little bit iffy with memoirs because I don't think that everybody knows how to write, and so it's like I pick and choose very carefully which memoirs I read, but I'm really excited for this one, and so when that comes in the mail, that will definitely be added to the list. So that's it for my official TBR, and then I have a couple other ones that I always put on there just as, like, if I have time / if they become available at my library in time for me to read them in the month. Those 2 books are Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. Here's the scoop. So I originally read Wires and Nerve, which is the graphic novel of the Lunar Chronicles, not knowing that it was a part of the Lunar Chronicles. I thought it was just like a fun little graphic novel. And so I read that and then discovered through reading that it was part of the bigger series. And I mean, you can read the graphic novels as standalone. Like, you can totally understand what it's about. And they give you like a recap. And then I was like, well, if I like this, then maybe I'll like the actual series. But the actual series is like a YA fantasy series about like fairy tales. And I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be into that. Like, I know Marissa Meyer is like really popular with a lot of people, but I just felt like she wasn't really gonna be popular with me, just for my tastes. And I listened to it on audiobook. I think if I'd read it, I probably wouldn't have been able to get through it. It was fine. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. I enjoyed it in the way I enjoy taking a shower. Like, it just felt very, like, to do. Like, it wasn't really anything important to me. It didn't really hold any value. I wasn't really like, oh, I need to know what happens next. So I'm really just on the fence as to whether or not I'm gonna read the second one, which is Scarlet. The first one was Cinder. I don't know if I said that. It's on hold as an audiobook, and the audiobooks are read by Rebecca Soler, who also read The Hazelwood as an audiobook, which I really enjoyed. Like, I enjoy her reading, so I might listen to it just for that reason. I could take it or leave it. If I have time, maybe I'll get around to it. If I don't have time, then just throw it out the window. Who cares? And then the other one is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I'm sure you all know what The Secret Garden's about. I believe that I read The Secret Garden when I was a kid, but I don't remember it at all. I don't remember most of my childhood. But the movie comes out this month, and the movie looks really charming and enchanting, and I just would like to have read the book before I see the movie, just to have it fresh in my mind, you know? I've also been doing a thing lately where I'm reading like one short classic per month, so I figure why not keep that theme going and read The Secret Garden. And that's the end. Those are all the books that I'm reading for the month of April. There might be way more if we continue to stay in this quarantine. I've read like 4 books this past week alone, so it could be a lot more. I could finish a lot more, and I'll let you know in my wrap up. So if you want to see that, leave a like, or don't. I don't really care. I don't really have anything else to say. Bye!